Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Side by Side podcast presented by Side Stage Shore. My name is Laura Landers, and I am accompanied by the beautiful Kelly Clark.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Cue applause. And today we're talking about something that I find to be, a vulnerable topic, but also a topic no one ever wants to talk about. And that is financial planning and stability within the touring musician lifestyle, which is hard
Ooh,
and sexy.
yes, the sexiest thing we could ever talk about.
So I was just talking to Kelly before we started recording about how I just had a heat guy over at my house because our heat went out yet again, like 1 of 3 times within the last month, and I'm having to drop like $800 today, and that's definitely not in the home ownership little
Bingo
section.
card.
Like, I should have been planning for this, but times actually right now for us financially are a little tight, but we knew they were gonna be tight, so I'm kind of pissed about this, but, like, also I shouldn't be, and I think I need to try to remove my emotions, but it's a little residual. I literally just finished this heat thing. He's actually going to get a part, and he's gonna come back and fix it today, so
You have every right to be upset.
thank you. I needed that validity.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, $800 today is just like,
And
it's hard for
I
anybody.
mean, let's even talk about this because it deals with making really quick financial decisions when your husband is gone. My husband right now is in the UK. It's 6 hours ahead. He's literally playing a show on stage at the moment, and the heat guy called him and was trying to tell him, he was like, and then he called me and he was like, "I tried to call your husband and ask him about this, but he didn't answer." And I was like, I wish he would answer my phone call right now, but he can't. And I want to know if this financial decision is the right one. But it's a Friday. It's about to get really cold this weekend. My heat is out. The part store closes in 1 hour. And it's like, do we get this heat fixed for this weekend or not? Do I drop the $800 now or not? Do I make the decision by myself without getting to consult with my husband or not?
Things. All the things been there. And these things usually happen when they're away and you're sitting at home and all the other stuff that has happened this week has happened. And then something breaks or our house flooded one time when Nick was gone. And it's like all these things happen when they're away. Like, why? Why couldn't this have happened when he was here? So I
I
could
know.
sit relax in the corner while you take care of it.
I know. And Jordan's been so good because he was like, he's over playing a show today, and he's like, "Do you want me to call the Heat guys?" And I was like, "Yes." Like, it just makes me feel like I'm not so alone and that he's willing to put in some acts of service for me to make me feel like he's helping, which he is, so that was really nice.
Is that your love language?
Love language number 1 is acts of service. Yep,
Okay. That is a
yep.
good one to have when they're away because he can still act servicely for you like this because
Yeah, like,
my
it makes a
quality.
difference.
Yeah.
Oh.
But we'll save that for another episode. I
Yeah,
feel
we
like
should talk about that another episode.
we'll do that. That's important. Yes.
Whew, so let's
Well,
get into these questions and not talk about my heat. Oh. So Kelly, let's dive into this because I feel like we could talk about financial planning and stability, but if you don't have anywhere to reference from, if the listeners have no idea where to reference from, then they just think that if you're doing really well financially right now, that you've always been doing really well financially. So
right.
quickly, if you can, so we don't spend too much time on it, what was your financial history before you were married?
Man. So we got married when I was 24. So I had graduated college and then he proposed 2 months later. Oh, yeah. So I didn't have no job. Like it was like, bloop, bloop. But before that, like, I'm very, very blessed to have zero student loans with like help, like with my lovely parents working extremely hard to pay for the 4 of us to go to college, all 4 of us. They put us through
Wow.
college. It was like whenever it was time to make that decision after high school, he was like, college and military. And I was like, I'll take college for 500, please. So all I had to do, I'm so blessed to have just had to go to school. He was like, do well in school because the second you are done, I am done.
Mm,
So it was like, I graduated, like I had to transfer my second year of college from the University of Houston, go Cougs, to Texas State University, go Bobcats. This little big totally crazy. But that's where I ended up. Went through school, graduated in a year and a half. So finished in December, February 10th, 2012, I was proposed to, married November 10th, 2012. So
okay.
working at Samsung in Austin and also a musician. So he was holding it down. So yeah, that was before I got married.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then even before then, like childhood, family, now this is up to your discretion whether or not you want to share because it could be your family's financial situation. You might not want to
Oh,
divulge
I'll
that, but
tell it. I'll tell
but
it.
yeah, like was it were you did you grow up poor? Did you grow up middle class? Did you grow up wealthy? Like what was that? Just for frame of reference.
Yeah, I feel like I should go back to my parents because growing up in the lovely South as Black people, we have a very interesting history, as we all know. So my grandparents have zero education, and my parents have my mom has some college, which is an absolute miracle compared to like the history with my grandmother being born in 1924. And then my dad also went to college. He finished. He was an electrical engineer. So doing well as if I, as an engineer, sorry, at that time, but there's four of us. So it's like, well, he's the only one working. My mom is not working. Her job is us. And there's four of us, and you got to feed four kids. So I honestly would say they grew up in some crazy poverty,
Mhm.
but then worked. Like my mom worked to support my dad through college. And then he finished. She did not, but he worked like crazy to provide for us.
Mhm.
So maybe not middle to start with, but definitely middle, even to upper towards like the end of his 40-year career at that
Yeah.
company.
Yeah. Wow.
What a
That's kind of
history.
yeah, that's kind of the same for me and I just want to frame what my background is in case we decide to talk about it, but kind of the same. My grandparents weren't great financially for one reason or another. I think my granddad was in the army and then they had 3 kids. My dad was one of them, and my mom was from a family that had like 6 brothers and sisters, and they were pastors and farmers and all that kind of stuff. We are farmers. Sorry, I probably should
Well,
like, how we ever like sued for that or something, bring it
yeah.
up. Yeah. But, anyways, I wouldn't say they came from any wealthy background, but just like you were saying, my parents started pretty low class at the beginning of having kids. My brother is 2 years older than me, and then now they're doing, like, middle upper class. So it's about the same. So it's not like, we couldn't they put me in dance, and they paid for dance, and we were able to go on, like, 1 vacation every, like, 10 years. Like, you know how there's some families that go on vacation all the time, like, just because they were, like, paying for me and my brother to do all of our activities. And then I actually had an aunt, and I think this is really important to say because not everyone's given this kinda opportunity. I had an aunt who, when she passed, she gave all of her nieces and nephews $20,000 each for education.
My
Um,
dream. I am that auntie.
that's amazing.
I love that for
Yeah, and
yeah.
so I invested half of it into the stock market because my dad was like, "You should invest this."
Ah,
Yeah, right, and I was, like, 18. So I just trusted what he said, which I'm so glad I did because he's great with money. I'm I think I should also say that I have a dad who is good with money that has taught me how to be good with money, because not everyone has that financial education, even though now it's free and out there to go find, but like you don't always trust it. It's hard to trust it unless it's your family and you see how they built their finances. So now you can trust them.
Mhm.
So, anyways, I got that money and I invested half of it, and the other part of it, I moved to LA with it, actually.
Wow. I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah. So that was a really interesting thing because I had basically $10,000 and like this new girl in this new city. And I was like, I don't really have to get a job, but I know I should get a job. This is right after college, which I'm still paying my student loans. My parents did help me out a little bit, but as much as they could. They couldn't help me out too
Right.
much. And when I moved to LA, I did find a job, but I ended up hating it. And so I quit and then I found another job and I hated it and I quit. In the first year, it was just me blowing through that $10,000. Blew right through it. And so then I had the rest of that 10,000 in that stock market. So I actually had to sell all my shares and use that money to live off of, and then I ended up finding a job that was fine, and then I got married in 2018, and I moved out to LA in 2013. So for 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 6 years, it was just me living alone and providing for myself and not investing and not saving. It was just surviving, but you're living that LA dream if you had the LA dream. And then we got married and actually you would think our finances would get better because we got married and there's 2 incomes, right?
Right. Feel that?
Nope, it was the exact opposite. My job was so high stress, Jordan told me to quit, so I did. Found another one, it was horrible, I needed to quit, and so, basically, he was the sole provider for a while at the beginning of our marriage, and he was working a million jobs in LA, and we were doing so bad financially. I ended up getting another job, but it still didn't pay very much, but it was just an interesting time. So, I'll stop there about the history, but it's good to say that because
Yeah.
for whatever we end up talking about here in a minute, now you have, like, a frame of reference. Yeah.
Like how far you've come, because that's how I feel. It's like, wow, like we both of us had like amazing like starts, like with no debt. He doesn't have school debt either. He had a football scholarship. So it's a
Mm.
great start to all these things for us to take a dip, a slow dip to back to where we're at now. So it's
Mm.
been a journey.
Let's talk about that slow dip. Is there a reason for it? Is it just natural causes and circumstances? Like what was that from?
It's a lot of everything. So Nick is definitely the money person. He is the saver, the budget, the all the things, and I am the way I grew up is he takes care of it over there. Everything's fine. And then my friend told me about this book, and it was like Smart Women Finish Rich. I think that was year 4 or 5 of marriage, and I was like, okay, let me start this book. And the first was like, here's all the things that this is like a checklist. Do you know this? Do you know this? Do you know this? And I knew 19 out of 50 of those questions, and I was like, oh, no, I'm not gonna be the one who doesn't know anything about our household finances. There was definitely a switch, and it was like, okay, then, like, involving me more in, like, the process and the budgeting and the saving and the investing, the little bit that we were doing at the time, and, like, kind of handed a lot of it over to me. Okay, so we were, no debt, and then lots of I was a teacher, he was an engineer in this thing, and then he quit being an engineer, did music full time. So then we're living off of that and, are slowly going down to how much we were making because, my little bitty teaching salary, but his engineering salary on top of the music, which isn't what it is now, but it was, enough you can live off of that in Austin, like playing 7 nights a week. It's great, or it was great. And then what happened? Then we kind of ended up with a little more debt here and there around like 2016. It's like a little less, making a little less, having to do a little bit more. And then I quit teaching. So now my salary is cut by, 90%. So now I'm like, okay, I got to find something. So we're figuring out this new lifestyle. of us not having 9 to 5s anymore. So now we're controlling our own time, which is wonderful. I don't regret that at all. So then we ended up moving to LA, which was not in the cards at all. I thought we were going to be in New York or be in Spain by now, but the Lord said different. So we came here for a project that he was on, which at the time we thought, this is great money. We're doing great. And then the artist was like, no bass. And so there's no more bass. And so I'm working at a coffee shop. And so we're living off of, I don't know how, but like $1,200. There was a little bit of saving, but like $1,200 a month. And so we're like, okay, we have this debt too, on top of, where we're at financially. And then things started to pick back up and our debt hole got a little deeper. And so we're kind of like hitting the I wouldn't even call it rock bottom because maybe it's rock bottom financially, but like, we're still doing really well. I really like
Mhm.
him. So we're picking ourselves back up. Then he starts like really touring. Like before it was touring, but then it's like, the 5 months at a time, like extended periods of time. So there's more money there. That's great. And then I start my company and then I'm making way more than he is, like
Mm.
way more. And with my, it's like you gotta, like, you can't make that much and then not know what to do with it. So guess who really didn't know what to do with it? Me. But it's how we run it is like, we have our pot together and then we have our own businesses. So my business went from a lot to a little. And then he started really, really, really picking up work. And so now we're almost done with the debt. We'll be done in April.
Wow.
We did it. We did it. We did it. We did it.
Mhm.
So, and now we're like on that huge upswing. Like it is night and day. Did that make any sense? I feel like I just
It makes
almost.
sense. No. You, like, went in the linear direction of time, and that was really helpful.
Okay, good.
Um,
Yeah.
that's so interesting, and, I think every time someone talks about their financial journey, you're obviously, in a way, comparing it to your own.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think that's just natural in the financial world, and I think there's a lot of financial talk that's somewhat gatekept, or maybe it's because people don't wanna be too vulnerable for one reason or another, and that's totally fine, but the more we talk about it, the more you can get a better grasp on whatever you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely.
It's funny that you said that Nick ran the finances, but then you wanted to learn more. Are you now, like, co-running finances, or did you just learn more, but he's still running them?
I would say we now co-run it. So we have our, I hate the B word, budget. I read a book, which we can talk about later, but called it a conscious spending plan instead. And so we have our conscious spending and we have like a budget and then we have like a middle budget and then we have an abundant budget. So like that way we're not like making extra money and spending it like I was doing. So
That's good.
we're keeping it within, these parameters. And so we're in the abundant budget right now. And we go over it, not nearly enough, but we do go over it and yeah, we run it together.
Let me ask you something. This just came into my mind. It's not on our list of questions per se, but do you find yourself emotional when you are thinking about your finances? Or even like, that could be just a general question, but even deeper than that, like whenever finances are stressing you out, or whenever you find yourself spending more money than you should, or whenever you just generally think about finances, like, is it an emotional thing too? Or do you find you can remove your emotions and just look at finances for what they are?
Oh, I don't feel bad at all until it gets bad. Like I'm the person that's like, everything's fine. We're making this much money. It's all good. Everything is great. And then I look and it's like, oh, there's no money in that account anymore. So I'm working on it. Like just because it's there doesn't mean it needs to be spent. Like there's places for everything. Yeah.
And like we've said in past episodes about, like, in this touring life, especially at the beginning or just when you're not mentally doing well, you spend more money trying to fill a void, which is an emotional response, and it happens to affect your finances. And I'm actively, like when I say actively, I mean like every minute of the day, I am fighting myself, trying not to click on the ads that show up on my phone
Mhm.
because I'm trying not to spend so much. Not that I spent too much last year, but I did spend too much in accordance to our income.
Yep, yep.
Me, like we could have paid off a lot of more debt than we did, but instead I was figuring out this way of life at the beginning. I was buying too much shit, and that is fine. I, like, don't even really regret it because I think that's just a natural progression of this lifestyle and you trying to figure out what it's like being at home all the time or whatever, but alone. But I am actively trying to fight my flesh to purchase things, and it's like breaking an old habit. Like, it's a struggle. So I do find that my emotions are coming through because I'm stressed out financially. We do have debt we're trying to pay off. Things will come up like this, our heat going out that we have to drop $800 on.
Right,
So now, that disrupts your financial plans, but that is life, and you know that that's life. So you can look at it from that overarching perspective of like, this happens. It's not like this is weird. This is normal. So you're able to regulate your emotions that way. But I don't know why I decided to start talking about that. But I think it was just we were talking about emotions and finances and how I find I'm emotional about my finances all the time, and I follow this account on Instagram and YouTube. It's called The Financial Diet,
mm,
and it's ran by these women, like these city women that have proven their knowledge, and I highly recommend them. And they are always talking about how you need to remove your emotions, and a part of that is by getting a financial planner. I'm not at that point where I can pay for a financial planner, but they really recommend doing that because when you have a financial planner, it almost wipes away all of your emotions because now you have a third party coming in and telling you what you need to be doing with your money.
right.
And it's not just you and your husband looking at it like, you know, just white knuckling what you have, but you're able to like understand what you should be doing with it, and just having that third party. Like, I think I work better in a business with someone else versus just myself, and I think maybe that's the same for finances. Like, the goal is to work on my finances with a third party, but I'm not there yet. So,
What do they recommend outs like, if you're not able to have a financial planner, what is another thing that they recommend that you do to help take away the emotion?
they've probably talked about it, and I just don't remember what they said, to be quite honest, and I don't wanna, like, come up with a fake answer for you, but I do know that when they're just empowering women to learn as much as they can, just like you were saying, like, just like you wanted to do, and I even feel like, because I run our finances. So, and Jordan, obviously, like, we have financial meetings, so it's not like he's in the dark about it, like, he's very
Yeah,
much in it, but I run it, and I feel like because I run it, when I fail at, like, spending too much money, that's when I'm like, the cookie's crumbling, I feel so horrible about myself because I should have known better because I'm educating myself with these resources, but I'm still failing, and that's because I think my emotions are getting into it, but that's also because of circumstances and being
right.
lonely, and then kinda just saying, like, what you were just saying, how you're not feeling guilty at all about spending the money until your
And
balance
just
is at
go
oh,
on.
yeah,
Yeah,
and in a way, I'm human. Even though I'm running the finances and I see what we should save, at times, I'm human, and I'm just like, "Fuck it," and then I'm gonna buy whatever I want, and then not whatever I want, but, just buy
yeah.
little things, and then I feel even worse about myself later, and so I am really trying this year to not buy things, and so far, so good, besides having to buy some home improvement stuff, but I know that, like, the home improvement spending is either necessary or it's it's an investment in whenever we sell the house, so it's just like it feels better than just buying little shit.
Yes, and I'm the little shit buyer. I'm like, we need a Hello Fall rug that's still out there right now.
Well, and isn't that funny because right now we're only 1 month into the year, basically,
Mm,
and I feel like 8, 9 months in, I'm gonna be like, "I wanna buy the Hello placemat," or whatever, and then it's like, I don't I'm trying not to lose my breaking habit momentum.
mm. What helps with the non-breaking habit momentum? Because me, it's like I think about different things that I do for my mental health, like my gratitude journal, or like what we do is this recalibration fast. I think I talked about that in another episode. But I learned that I need to recalibrate twice a month, like 2 weeks out of the month versus just one. 'Cause if I do one, then first week is great. Second week is okay. Third week is bad. Fourth week is horrible, but I get to recalibrate next 30 days. So is there something that helps you to not what else? I forgot what I was saying.
Were you
The
talking about, like,
momentum. Yes, the momentum, right?
yeah, it's just keeping tabs on how your mental health is and, like, recognizing when your mental health is good. We actually talked about this, like, in a past episode, like, and I actually talked about this with my therapist, but more so in a different way, but this applies to this. She was basically saying, like, in order to keep your nervous system really healthy, you need to be connecting your mind and your body together, and when you connect your mind and your body together and you realize when they're actually connected, your body is going to feel a certain way. And when you finally recognize how your body feels when they're connecting and you're doing mentally very well and your nervous system is regulated, you need to diagnose what that feeling is like because you are actually able, your mind is able to recreate that feeling on command if you know what that feeling is like. So she was saying
Wow.
another client she had, I don't feel this, but it is an interesting visual. She said that when her client, everything was functioning well and she felt really good, she felt the sensation of butter, like just smooth moving, like her body was just
Yeah.
like, and I don't really relate to that, but that was an interesting thing. So I'm like, "Oh, okay, I need to figure out what that is in my body and mental health wise and physical health wise and nervous system health wise." And I think I'm doing that this month by breaking these bad habits of doom scrolling, which I'm actively working on not doing. And it's so hard. I'm technically failing at it all the time, but I'm acknowledging that I'm failing at it all the time, which is good. And so then I'll be on Instagram for like a minute and then I'll get off, be like, I need to get off. And I will get off. But then that's, like, where the ads are, and that's when I, like, wanna spend money and stuff like that, so I'm so aware of it that I think I'm really close to finding what my body is feeling like in that, like, butter kind of
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah, your definition of butter, whatever that is.
Yeah, exactly, and so once I
Mm.
figure out what my definition of butter is, then I can recall that whenever I'm 7 months into this year really missing my husband. This is the recalibration of the 365 days has been wearing off and I need to like recreate that again. So
Yeah, I
I'll keep you
love
updated when I figure that out.
love that. Love that. And it's great that we meet weekly so that way we can talk about it when we banter first before we
Yeah.
jump into all of the things
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
something you said
It's
reminded me something you said reminded me of the book that we're reading, which is The Psychology of Money. And so, like, whenever you're thinking that you're failing, like, there's a chapter that talks about, the best investors in the world, your Warren Buffetts and all of those people, and how there's like, they fail too. And there's a huge amount of luck that played into their success. And so, like, whenever you're failing, it's remember, okay, those people failed too. Will we have billions of dollars? Maybe not. Most likely not. But in our definition of whatever a billion is, it could be our, our little six figures or whatever it is. It's like we will fail. It's part of the journey. You know,
Mhm.
I need to really digest that book some more. I read it at one of Nick's shows last week, or like during Sound Bad Idea, because it was the investment chapter. And I'm having to like digest all of these things while people are, they're playing, which is usually fine. And then there's people coming to say hi. And I just wasn't able to.
I'm trying to invest in reading this.
Right. So if you see me reading the psychology of money, like, don't talk to me.
I need to be soaking up this information.
Yeah.
Uh, no, that actually that book sounds very intriguing to me because I love psychology. So that's maybe I need to pick that book up.
It's not what you would expect. There's like, things like luck, but then another one is like surprise. So like all of these like different surprises in history, you can plan for the next one, but the next one's not going to be like the last one. So it's
Huh.
like, and it's not like teaching you what to do. It's just saying, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can prepare for, 3 months of no work, but next time, maybe it won't be 3 months. Maybe it'll be 8 months of no work. So what, there's a way to prepare for it, but expecting the unexpected.
Which I think I need to learn how to do a little bit better.
Yeah. I'm okay with change, but I don't know if there's a but in there. Just figuring out what it is. Because being broke together, as being broke together, it can like make or break. So
And it was interesting, I will say, and I wonder if the book you're reading touches on this, but just being married at the beginning of marriage is when we were doing so bad financially. So we kind of you're establishing almost your marriage financial foundation at that beginning, and the beginning for us was so bad that I think sometimes we still are resorting to that PTSD mindset about
yeah.
finances,
Mm,
and I need to, like I've been trying to pray through that and break free of that and trust God more. I mean, I am trusting God, but I think I stress out when I shouldn't,
yeah.
but
That that's, a part of marriage. But then you get to there's like, the first 3 years of marriage or something. And then I think there's like 5 to 7 is when like people like that's when the most divorces happen. So
mhm.
then when you get after that, like 7 to 11, there's like another stage that they talk about. And so we're on year 12. And so we're thinking about things that happened year one that are affecting us now.
Yeah.
So it's good that you're doing that now because it's so interesting how things just come up. And you're like, wait a second, that happened in year one.
I do.
And we're
I
talking about it now. And it's, if we have a strong foundation. So it's like, keep going through it and fighting it. 12 years is a long time. I'm not going to give up now.
Hey, sorry about my dog.
Hey,
This is Grammy,
what's over here?
but she was just jumping on the bed and my phone or my computer's on the bed right now, so there's that. You were talking about, like, reading that financial chapter or sorry, the investing chapter of that
Mhm.
book. There's a Instagram account I follow that I find really inspiring. It's called Girls That Invest, and it's talking about, like, reality of females that are trying to invest. So it's like even if you don't feel like you're ready to invest or you are at the investing stage in whatever capacity, like, I really recommend Girls That Invest on Instagram because it's this woman who runs this account, and just lately, all of her stuff has been showing up in my algorithm, which I love, and it's just, like, the reality of going on vacation, and she's like, "It is not reality to get a manicure every 2 weeks." Like, that's you're seeing that all over social media, but, like, that's not
Yeah.
normal. And please remember that that's not normal and you should invest, but it's like kind of a glamorous account too. So like I think sometimes we subconsciously equate like glamour with high spending, meaning that you're not investing because if you're glamorous, that means that's where your money is going and not like on the back end and like the stocks and the mutual funds or the retirement or whatever. So it's nice that this is this account that's showing like the beauty of femininity, but also how you can establish your wealth and grow your wealth over time.
I love that. And I love that they're glamorous about it without, because I mean, she's probably not getting her nails done every week or every 2 weeks. So
Right.
it's like I'm doing well by doing these things that I need to do, like you're investing in your savings. And so if you can afford it, then do it. But can you, should you, you know, I need,
Right.
I need to check that out because we're talking about investing more this week or this month, this year. Where are we? What time is
I
it? I don't know anything anymore. Yes, that. Whenever we started talking about that, we started reading the book in January. Is it January? I don't know. Maybe. Yes, and yeah, I'd like to check that out from a woman's perspective because a lot of the financial advice is from men.
Yeah. And that's fine
Mm.
if it applies to you, but I feel like a lot of these it doesn't apply because socially women are not taught as much in the finance world, and how are we supposed to like enjoy, ads are always hit to us more than men, like clothes for us are more expensive than men, like it just
Mhm.
we have beauty products that men don't use, so we're naturally spending more money. So yeah, it's I do find that like the women led financial literacy programs are, I think, more important than the male ones.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the money bros.
Yeah, exactly. So let's keep going in these questions and talk about planning for the future when income is unpredictable or seasonal.
Because all of our seasonal, right?
Right.
Like there's things that they're not on the calendar, but they have been brought to my attention. And whenever that happens, like one thing that I cannot do is start calculating and thinking, oh, Nick is going to be working with this person, maybe. And so how much are they going to pay him? I don't know. But that tour lasts through January of the following year. So we're going to be great when, I mean, there's nothing in my calendar. It was hey, there's no promises, of course, but this might come up. And so the first thing I would say is don't get your hopes up. Like
Yeah.
especially with where we are, like anything can happen. He could get sent home today and he's already out there. Anything
Yeah.
can happen at any time, anywhere. So I guess expect the unexpected again. But yeah, there can't be any super abundant unnecessary spending if we don't know if anything can happen. So again,
Right.
there's money today and there's money for 3 months now, 4 months, whatever it is. But again, it could get cut off any second. And then the cutoff isn't just cut off any second. Now there's 8 months of no work. So like, yeah, there's this much money here in this bank account, but that doesn't mean it's available for spending. In fact, we should save most of it, shouldn't we?
So then
Especially
let
again.
this because I completely relate to what you're saying. Obviously, I think a lot of us relate to what you're saying, but I do feel like there are times I again get emotional about finances and get upset that we're almost living in the, well, what if we don't have income? So then you don't get to enjoy the money that you have now because you don't want to spend it in fear. And then you're living life in fear, but it's also kind of not fear. It's also kind of like strategizing and planning. Do you deal with any of that?
Um, I'm saying I'm attempting to because I'm still in oh, it's there, we can spend it. So I'm actively working on that. But luckily, this overabundance is in Nick's business account. And so, yes, I have access to it, but then again, I don't have access to it. He is
Yeah.
incredible with saving. and I am incredible at spending. So we're working on a balance there, but also he's very much. He's not a 3 months save up to 3 months. He's a 6 month person. So once we're getting into the saving up to 6 months for like 6 months worth of bills, like we can take care of that.
Mhm.
Then we can start looking at other things. Like we can do a little vacation here and there. You've got these shows in the Bahamas, hopefully that I'm going to in 3 weeks. Yeah. But
Yeah.
also investing in things like therapy. It's like these things that are like we're saving, but investing in things that are actually going to be helpful, like therapy, like, okay, after we had our mental breakdown, it was, can we have someone to come clean up to get us in an equilibrium? Can we have someone come do our laundry?
Yeah.
We can pay for these things to not all the time because I have 2 hands. I can clean up, he can clean up. I know some
Mhm.
people really, really want that, and I do too. It has to make sense, for us. So
Yeah.
that time it was a necessity. It was, I'm overwhelmed. You are in and out. I need it clean in here so I can breathe. So
Yeah.
invest in things like that, investing in things that are actually going to be helpful, like a gym membership. We go to the gym together.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
nice.
I will say I was really slow to learning about that investment into your health and wellness. I just didn't want to I'm always stressed out about finances, which I shouldn't be, but I am. And I therefore don't want to spend money on medical stuff that's not absolutely necessary. I'm like, let's wait until like the arm is broken. Let's wait until the pneumonia has set in and then we'll go
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
doctor.
That is
And
normal in America, unfortunately, right?
and Jordan and I made this pact at the beginning of our marriage that wellness spending, no matter if we have the money or not, is going to come first and is going to be prioritized. And I I reluctantly agreed, and then I kind of went back on my word at a time because I was like going through a lot of physical pains, or either if I was like mentally doing horrible, but we didn't have the money, or even if we did, I didn't want to spend the money on a therapist or spend the money on a doctor. I would just let myself deteriorate. I was letting myself deteriorate because I didn't want to spend the money because it was stressing me out. But I knew that if I went and it's kind of like a catch 22 because I knew if I went and like got the therapy, then I would be stressed that I spent the money, but I'm stressing already about the thought of the spending the money. So it was just like, why don't you go ahead and spend the money and invest in yourself? And then I'm now seeing the fruit of that wellness investment. And I
Mhm.
don't regret at all spending the money on that and on myself. Like now I'm going to the chiropractor once a week and my body feels good and my mind feels good. And I'm like, holy shit, why didn't I believe that within myself and do this years ago?
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that you wouldn't. It's set up for us to work, 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 work. And then healthcare is so expensive. So it's like, yeah, we need these things to function. I have back spasms. So it's like, I need to move. I need to move. But when it hurts so bad that I can't walk, that's when I go to the doctor, or that's when I try to start stretching. Like, no, girl, you should have stretched a long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you
Wish I had
yes,
more every day.
yes, good. I asked for a mobility course for my birthday, okay? That's what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you turn 36.
Wow. But I mean, it's obviously you're seeing the health and benefit of investing in yourself. So
Yeah. No
wellness wise.
spasms no spasms in 2025 yet.
Amazing.
Alright, the last one was in October, right before we went to Spain. So, if I can go a full year without them, that would be incredible. That means not pushing too hard either. So, yeah, I wanna go to the gym. Yeah, I can squat, but I cannot put a bar across my back because it will cause spasms immediately.
Yep.
So, like, you don't have to. It's okay. But that also
Right.
means eat better. All the things to care better for ourselves. Which,
Yep.
yes, I mean, health is wealth. That's what they call it. Health is wealth.
I'm finally seeing the truth of that.
Good for
It's
you.
like
But there's some people
it's
who don't, and then they don't have teeth. You know, they lose their teeth in their 40s. It's like, whoa, 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 it's too early. You have to take care of yourself.
yeah. Speaking of which, we don't have dental insurance, so I'm like,
You don't
yeah,
either. Well, we be
thanks for the reminder.
Yes.
Um, okay, let me ask you another question. You might have already answered it, but I'm not quite sure. What are you doing right now financially? What is your focus? Is it paying off debt? Is it saving? Is it investing? Are you doing a little bit of all of it? And if you are, how are you managing doing a little bit of all of it? Where are you at right now?
Right now, I am actively trying not to spend the money that's there. But also, like, we're so close to finally paying off the debt. We have structured the abundant budget to go, like, to almost the amount of our rent going to debt. So we are knocking it out, which we've never, I mean, we've been like, paying off here and there, but it was like, go. So we are almost there. We're almost there. And so that is a huge focus right now, is knocking that out. So then we can go from that to taking that amount, maybe a little less, to go into savings, because and Nick is turning 40 this year. So
Okay.
yeah, I know he's an old man. So I think it's setting, like going back to really, really setting ourselves up. Because like we were home for Christmas, and my parents have this huge house and all this space and all these things. And it's not that I want that, I want the option. And so they didn't wake up with the kind of money that they have. And they're doing wonderful. Like my mom called me today and was like, "Hey, do you want to go to Nashville for your nephew's birthday party?" And I was like, "Mom, it's $1,000. I can't do that." And she was like offering to do it. I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. Save your money. Give me the $1,000 in cash." But, like they have the option to do that. They fly first class everywhere. Like I want the option. And there's no like easy way to have the option. It's like you got to work for it. So while it's paying off this debt, but it's like all of these, our self-employed selves with these different streams of income, like making them take care of the things that we want them to take care of. Like, I would
Yeah.
love my handwriting books to make enough to pay our rent. That would be life changing. No, it would be wonderful. I would love that. I would. So again, you got to work for it. That's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
That's my focus. I want options, you know, and we
Yeah.
have options. I want to, let's say that Grammy needs to have an emergency surgery that costs $10,000. I want to cut the check. Like, I
That's
want to be able to help people, and you
yeah.
can't do that if you spend all the money on Amazon. Oh, Amazon.
Right. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
I feel like right now on our end, because last year Jordan was touring and worked this like full-time career job that like it was crazy. It didn't work out because it started overlapping, and so he had to choose obviously the thing that he loved versus the thing he didn't. So we were making a lot of money last year, and I was kind of just spending it. Um whoops.
Look,
But
you preaching to the choir, okay?
yeah, like, this is with what we're going through in this lifestyle, like, whatever, it makes sense.
Yes.
Especially at the beginning when you're figuring it out. But he doesn't have that income anymore, he just has the touring income, and I am not 9 to 5, so I'm just freelancing here and there. So, I don't make that much. So but we're choosing to be here financially right now, and actually, like, I'm supposed to be finding another job, but this tour schedule's been so interesting, at least at the beginning of the year. So I've actually been traveling a lot to Dallas to stay with my parents for like an extended period of time while Jordan travels. So I'm not alone. and it's been really good for me mentally to do that. And that will end in March, and then things will kind of become normal. So I feel like I'll be in Tulsa a lot more, but I'm supposed to be looking for more work and I haven't been. So it's just been me feeling a little shameful about that because I just don't. I'm like trying to pray through it and see if that's like what we should be doing, but also like, yes, we need to be making more income. So I think I'm at that point now where it's like, all right, it's time to look for more income so that we can actually pay off the debt that we have that we need to be paying off, that we're like paying off, but it's hard to right now.
Mm. My favorite part about you is how honest you are. You are just so honest, and I love it so much.
Wow, thank you. Well, I feel bad about myself 24/7 whenever I'm making the wrong, or it feels like I might be making the wrong decision, or I'm like I'm resting too much in my comfortability of not wanting to go find work because it's scary and it's change, and I really enjoy my life right now. I just wish I had more money.
Yeah. Who else
But then
is
you're
like that though? Like there's so many people who are like that who don't say anything. You know, it's like,
yeah,
"I it's fine." It's like, "Well, it's really not." And that's fine, but like you talk about it and it's just so important.
yeah. And I think I want more people not to be going through what I'm going through, but if they are going through it, I want them to say that, and then I wanna, like, hear how they break through, and I'm not at the breakthrough yet, but when I am, I wanna be able to help people that are going through what I'm going through.
You're doing it.
Yeah, well well, I need to, like, get a job, like, another job. I'm working all these little part-time things, but they don't really add up to, like, major part-time, and so it's just like I'm living this great life, so much flexibility, but not enough money. So it's like, I don't know. I'm really I'm breaking off all these habits and I'm dying to my flesh in all these other ways, but I feel like this is the big way that I need to do it that I haven't done yet.
And you will get there when the time is right.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Yes.
just trying not to feel shameful, too
Mhm.
shameful in the I don't even want to say the waiting because I shouldn't be waiting. I should be actively looking for something, but I don't want to.
Even in the active, you'll still be waiting, you know? There's no
Yeah.
you don't just call or, send in the resume and then they call you in 30 minutes. There will be waiting involved. So you're working on the wait to then get ready to wait, to then
Yeah.
kill it, whatever it will be.
Yeah. Like, I applied to a job right before Christmas and then heard nothing, so I guess I did wait, but I was like, "Yeah, I'm probably not gonna get that job." They haven't said any, and I followed up and they didn't respond back, so I was like, "Alright, I don't think I got it," which is fine, but thus is life.
That's just life. What a life we live.
Yeah. But all this to say, the financial planning, especially whenever you are living a life maybe where you're not working 9 to 5. I mean, everyone's financial situation is different, and maybe the wife is working a 9 to 5 while the husband is on tour or just whatever, right? Whatever the situation is, I feel like there's always gonna be a job loss, or there's always gonna be the change in artist, or another COVID happens to where there's no more touring.
Right, right.
So it's like, I think we've all learned whatever we've learned over the past few years from COVID, and maybe that's to diversify your income, or, whatever it is that you took away from that time financially. But I think this lifestyle financially and wanting to plan big things like either paying off a bunch of debt, or traveling a lot, or doing something on your house or whatever it is. I think it's always good to not live in fear, or try not to live in fear, but also live with that idea that it shouldn't be devastating if something changes.
Absolutely. Because something will always change.
Yep.
Always. Whether it's the artist, whether it's I don't know. It could be anything. Anything at any
Yeah.
time, anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, I think once we finally learn that, which you kind of have to remind yourself about it over and over again at times, I think.
Mhm,
Like once we realize that and really take that to the core of our financial understanding, then it's not so catastrophic whenever the financial change happens, which it will happen. And time again, it'll happen.
mhm. Yeah.
Oh.
This was
Yeah.
I feel really good about this conversation because I'm
I'm
not a money person and you are the money person. So also hearing different things from someone that's not Nick is really wonderful.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. And then
Are
I
we
think the last bit of
ask
what?
I'm gonna teach an SST financial class.
I am sure there are many more qualified people than me to teach that, but I will be honest about my finances. How about that? If anyone asks,
Beautiful.
but some resources I wanted to share just because I love them and why not share them? And you can either look them up or not. I use Wealthfront for my robo advising for retirement. Just I found that a few years ago and I really liked it. I also use an app called Capital with a Q, not a C. And that is essentially it's a bank account, but it doesn't really feel like a bank account to me. It just feels more like a bucket. It has all these little buckets. And I know like some bank accounts like Ally or something has those buckets in them, but I use Chase and they don't have the buckets. So I use Capital and it also takes 2 days or maybe sometimes 1 day to transfer the money, which is good for me because if there's something I really want, I know that it's going to take a minute. So I can't just have instant gratification, which is nice for me. And I also use, which I'm not a Dave Ramsey fan. I don't know if anyone knows about Dave Ramsey and how a lot of female financial people actually hate Dave Ramsey. If you hate him, you hate him. If you love him, you love him. But there is a budgeting if you just want to buy a budgeting app, it's the Every Dollar that zeroes out your budget. And I have been using that because no one's told me any different on another app, and I like it. I like it, so I use it. But those are like the little apps that I use that I enjoy financially and that I've used for years and years and years.
Nice. This isn't on our list, but I saw an ad for Rocket Money, of course. But
Mhm.
Rocket Money will go through your accounts and find subscriptions that you're paying for. So like different things that you miss. I found out that we're paying for Roku $99 a month for like 6 months. And Rocket Money will do it instantly in
So
case you're
you use Rocket Money.
yes. Yeah. And I
You
use a
pay
free version. I don't pay for it. No. Okay.
Mm,
But I loved that it did that for me. So good for it.
okay. I'll have to look that up, actually. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Think that might be it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grim thinks it's about time too, so well, go out there and think about your finances healthily and do not think in fear. And we are all in this together. And that's what Side Stage Tour is here for. Join us on the Discord. We will talk about money there. This is the financial money month, February. So, anyways, but we'll talk about it all year round because that's one of the biggest parts of life is finances.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So join our community. We want to see you there. And if you are not a spouse or partner or significant other of a touring musician and you know someone, send this to them because we want to support them.
Yes, we do.
Yep. Okay.
Right.
Until next time.